We are delighted that you're joining us for another podcast of Wake Up Aligned, and it is the podcast for chiropractors, where we get to talk about chiropractic lifestyle, and topics of interest. You can contact us through our email, and that is mailbag@amcfamily.com. Welcome back to another episode of Wake Up Aligned. I am your host, Dr. Shannon McMurtry. I'm here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Greg Miller. Dr. Greg, as many of you may recall, has been a guest on our podcast several times. He might even be getting top billing now. Greg, we might have to put you on the marquee for Wake Up Aligned, like Shannon McMurtry, Tom Owen, and Greg Miller. What do you think about that?
You know, I'm just comfortable with the way things are right now. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. You want to show up when you got something to talk about, but you don't want to have the pressure. Is that what you're saying?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Right.
I'm a man of few words today.
Oh, that really works great in an audio format. So this is going to be fun for us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
In all seriousness and complete candor, you've got something that you've been really working on. Has been an important thing for you for really a long time, but I think there's been a refreshing of that here lately, and I want to give you plenty of space to discuss that, take our listeners on the journey, and talk about why it's important and why you felt like it was the right time and the right place to explore this topic. So I'm going to turn it over to you. You pick it up and carry the ball wherever you think you need to so far.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. And it is a joy for me to jump on here and have some time with you just to talk about, as Dr. McMurtry said, something that just is a passion in my heart. And that really is referrals. And certainly as a mentor and before that, a coach for AMC, it is something that I have been in front of the classroom so many times and talked about the AMC system and how, it is just so clearly designed as a referral program. And AMC is so clearly defined as a referral company. It is just in the DNA of who we are. And I think, because of that, it's just really, really important for us to talk about it a lot. And so, yeah, you're right. There's been some new life breathed into referrals around this place. Specifically, we've even changed the name. I don't know if you're aware of that. This used to be the Eagle Club. I think there was a time you were even directing the Eagle Club.
Yeah.
I think there was a time. So, but it's getting some new life breathed into it. We are going to now be calling this the Soaring Eagles.
The Soaring
Eagles. And just a couple of teasers here at the moment, because I know this is going to go out the week of a boot camp, I believe is correct. I think it's going to jump out there right before the May boot camp. And we are going to have some really, really exciting things for our Soaring Eagle members. Now, if you're listening and you're an Eagle Club member from prior to this, you will be grandfathered in to these opportunities. It doesn't stop the expectation for you to share your story and share everything that's happening in your practice in terms of other doctors, colleagues, those that need to find a home with AMC. That expectation never changes. But for you to have the opportunity to enjoy some of these things that we've got coming as an Eagle Club member, you will be grandfathered into that. Now, I'm specifically talking about the suite that will be available pretty much the entire weekend. We'll have some specific hours, and I think that's going to be made available to us here in the next days. But there will be a suite at the hotel where Eagle Club, Soaring Eagle members can come, hang out, just sit down and just have conversation with other members of this elite team. And really, it is an elite part of who AMC is. We just talked about it being as part of the DNA. And Shannon, Dr. McMurtry, I would invite you to hang out up there as you're available to do that as well, because I'm looking forward to some really, really fun conversations happening there when I'm able to be up there. So that's one of the things. There'll be other opportunities and other surprises as the weekend unfolds, and certainly as other summits for the rest of the year and subsequent years unfold as well. But I thought a teaser like that might be kind of fun. What do you think?
I think it's great. And the rumor is there's going to be an open bar up there. So, is that not the rumor? How about
we'll
this?
Put Dr. Lay in charge of that. I also want to mention the Taking Flight Award. That's another award that we've added to the roster of awards. But this is an award that this recognition has just gone on for a long time, or the recognition hasn't, the activity has. And this Taking Flight is doctors who have been willing to step up. And, for Jeff or even myself at times, if there's someone, for instance, it's not uncommon anymore for us to get somebody Googling chiropractic coaching or chiropractic management, and AMC pops up, a line pops up, and they reach out to Jeff or the outreach department, and he will reach out to doctors perhaps in the same demographic area or using the same technique, or something that he'll recognize. And we have doctors, we have AMC family members that are so gracious about taking a phone call from a prospective family member and just sharing their heart with them, sharing their story. And they just do that out of the kindness of their heart, the bigness of their heart. And so we're gonna have some of those awards that'll be a part of what we're doing now. And folks, that's just really to just let you know how much we appreciate your willingness to share your story. Because if we go back into your practice for a minute, that's really what it comes down to with referrals, is it not, Dr. McMurtry? Is we have to help our patients understand that, number one, that their story has value, and then we just teach them how to share it. And we have that same expectation of you. As a matter of fact, I mean, when I remember when I came on board in AMC back in, here we go, McMurtry and I are about to have a debate, but I'll just say back in 1999, because I believe you were 98. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So clearly the older one on the call. So, but I remember, and it was Dr. Doug Bush is the doc. He was a semester behind me, I think, at Palmer. And he had told me a couple of times about AMC, and I dismissed it. Look, I was a Gonstead guy. I had no need for management. The same stuff I've heard for years and years. But then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, this is a lot more work than I thought it should be. There's something missing. Sure. And I followed his advice, and I came to AMC, and everything changed. And I owe him for that. I owe him big for that. And I recognized the reality of that. And I was trying to count it up the other day. I don't know if you remember back, we used to have, you had your original Eagle Club Award.
Right.
And then you had a double eagle. You remember that?
Right.
Back in that was back in the day. Those were those tiny little, they weren't very big, but there was a double eagle. And I was trying to count the number, and I'm nowhere near Dr. Ava, but I think I have 15 or 16 folks over the years that are a part of AMC, just because of my understanding, my passion for sharing my story and just sharing what's happened. So, and then look, we're not asking for these referrals because it's a benefit for AMC. It will be, certainly, and we'll use that to further chiropractic. We'll use that to share the stories, but we love for the sake of loving, right? I mean, how many times have we heard that? How many times have we seen that around this AMC family? We love for the sake of loving. We give for the sake of giving, because it's the right thing to do. I mean, it's hard enough. I was mentoring a doc today, and he told me flat out, he said, if I could do this for free, it would be the best thing in the world, because I wouldn't have to deal with the business side of it. And look, he's going to have $1 million practice this year. So it's not a tiny little practice, but he's so fed up with dealing with the business side of things. And I get that, but maybe that is what the doctor who's out there struggling needs our help with. Maybe it's like me. When I first found AMC, I had all kinds of new patients, and I just didn't have the skills to keep them. And certainly we've proven that we do that really, really well. But let me take you back a little ways. And doctors, right now, I'm talking to you about a responsibility that you have when you become a part of the AMC family. Your responsibility is to find the next doctor. And it doesn't stop with the next one, because once you found the second one, you find the third one. Mm-hmm. And once you found the third one, you find the fourth one. And I remember way back, this is way back. There was another doctor in my town that had reached out to AMC. And this was a time where I remember Dr. Owen actually called me and said, hey, we've got a doc that's in a desperate situation. We want to bring him on board. We're going to end your agreement for you, and we're going to put him on an agreement. And that was a different mindset back then to what our mindset is now. Now, I can't think of a better scenario than every single chiropractor in a community that's doing the system, the program like AMC.
Absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine if there was some reason, there was a cobweb up in the corner of your practice and that freaked that patient out and they didn't want to come back in. So you sent them down the street and they got the same chiropractic education. We'll just call it that. And I can't imagine a better scenario than that. So I think back and it didn't bother me at the time, but we have matured in how we approach that. Because I remember back in the day, with originally the first time, I think my first phone call was actually with Tom Owen. Mm-hmm. And then I think he was part of the signing process for me. And I know he was coaching at that time. I mean, he was crossing the T's and dotting the I's for all of that was going on. Do you remember that? Did you engage with him early on?
No, I actually engaged with Judy first out of the gate. So, but yeah, Tom was instrumental and very active in all those processes early on.
Yeah, and it wasn't hard to palpably understand the passion behind that. I mean, there's no doubt. And look, I may be circling around the wagons here a little bit, but that is where I'm trying to head with this entire Soaring Eagles opportunity for all of us. Is we have something incredibly special here, and you can't hide it. You have to share it. You have to tell that maybe it's the next generation. I am so impressed with Dr. Horrell and the team she's putting together out there, talking to all the chiropractic students and sharing with them, the opportunity that they have with the Right Start program and everything that's going on inside of AMC for them. And, as far as the work that Jeff is doing and all oh my gosh, I mean, with Google and Instagram and Facebook and all the different ways we're trying to get out there and get in front of people, that's all great. But the grassroots where it's really, really, really going to happen is the referrals, and is you, AMC doctors, not Dr. McMurtry necessarily, but you that are working with other doctors to share the experience of AMC. And look, I'm living proof of it. I am not in practice right now. I am here at the home office in Jacksonville, but I am working very closely with a doctor in Jacksonville that opened her practice. She is struggling to understand what it really means to run a chiropractic business. And I think you've said that before, Dr. McMurtry. Yep. This program, this AMC thing, this aligned thing is a chiropractic business model. It's really what it is. I don't know if you want to, I'd love to hear you speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So there are, just like there are in any business, there's different business concepts and models that are in play, that are in the marketplace. Probably the best way to use an example on this is talk about restaurants. You can have a McDonald's restaurant that, provides a certain type of food and a certain type of efficiency and, speed and all that. And you're going to expect a certain price point. You can also have a steakhouse, a very fine steakhouse in your town that in the same town of a McDonald's, and they're not competing for the same type of customer. They actually have different concepts. Right, that steakhouse has the fine music or the nice quiet music. It's candlelit, linens on the table, wait staff dressed in their bow ties and all that sort of stuff. Both are viable in the marketplace. Both have different types of models or concepts behind them. The problem is when you take McDonald's uniforms and try to put those into the steakhouse, or McDonald's efficiency of a drive-through and put it through the steakhouse, or take the linens from the steakhouse and put it in the McDonald's. Now people, when they walk in there, their innate says, I don't know what to make of this. And it's uncertain and it's uncomfortable and it doesn't work, right? Those two things have to march to their own rules because they're different models or concepts of business. AMC is a model of business, and it is not we're going to market our town and, market is important, but it's not the only thing. It's not we're going to provide the retail care, right? Patients are going to direct their care and direct their adjustments, and we're going to do whatever the patients ask. It is a quality, it is a comprehensive, it is a structured approach with your patients. You develop that type of relationship. And if you do that model and you adhere to the rules of that model, it is exactly like running that fine steakhouse. The reputation, the clientele, the reason people seek that place out over others are all part of the process. The challenge is when you try to take bits of that and force it into one of those, we're going to process in 100 new patients a month type of things, right? So when Dr. Greg is talking about it as a model or a concept or that kind of thing, that's exactly what we're talking about. He'll be the first to tell you, we want to talk to everybody, but we are the first to admit we are not the match for every single chiropractor out there. And that's okay. But if you value quality, thoroughness, comprehensive care, if wellness and that type of relationship is important to you, if chiropractic for you is more than pain management or pain control or Band-Aids, then we are your Huckleberry, right? Well, that is our concept. That's what we do. So is that what you wanted me to share?
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's just the tremendous value in a lifetime of chiropractic care is what it really, the path that it takes a patient on. And so many of them have never, ever heard that before. You talk about pain. This doc that I'm working with, and I'm working really closely with her. I've been in her office several times. It's a beautiful office, but her overhead is absolutely out of control. And the education she's gotten so far in terms of how to run that practice is failing her miserably. So my point is that my passion, our passion for doctors needing what we have to offer is never going to end. It just isn't, because it's just too important. It's too important. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I see a lot of doctors that I'm coaching, that I'm mentoring, sending referrals to AMC. Yep. And I know part of that is the conversation that I have with them. And I thought, how do I relate that to what's happening here? And I thought I would try to kind of duplicate that just a little bit here. I know one of the phrases, and Tom has picked up on it, is who's been watching you? And that is such a powerful phrase for a patient to hear, because one of the things that I think is important for us to do when we have this innate moment where we're like, oh, okay, this is an opportunity for me perhaps to harvest a referral opportunity. And let me just pause a second. Several years ago, I had a conversation with our certified training center director, and he was talking about, and now certified training centers, for those of you who don't know, those are, the certified part is for real. I mean, we go on site, we make sure that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, everything is in place for you as an AMC family member to come and visit this office. But he was observing. He spent the morning in this doctor's office just observing their daily routine. And he talked about how he counted 6 different opportunities in just less than a 3-hour period of time for that doctor to potentially have a conversation about a referral. And I think that's what happens to us. If I'm talking to AMC family doctors right now, which I am, don't miss those opportunities. But I also know I'm talking to blue coats who are doing mentoring, who are working with their docs in terms of, sharing the message of chiropractic with, our community. So don't miss those opportunities to absolutely share your story, to pause. I mean, Smoky Dog, right? I'm not going to go into that, but I just remember when Dr. Owen used to teach that, and the physical stance that he would do is so funny, but it's a memory for me. It's locked in my brain forever and ever and ever. And you need to be very alert, acutely aware, innately aware of the conversation that you're having with your patients. If you're sitting there or working with that patient and you're thinking about the bills that are on the desk and the files that haven't been completed and hopefully the R2s that have got to be done, those are the things that you're focused on, and that's where your attention is. Innately, your patients are going to pick up on that, because whether we like it or not, they have an innate that's just as strong as ours. They just don't know what to call it.
Amen.
So we have to be, and look, what's the morning routine for, right? The mirror time and the routine there's so many different paths that we could take with this, but right now it's just important for us to realize that when we are present with those patients, we must be present with those patients. When I, as a mentor, when you as a mentor are present with the doctors that I'm mentoring, I have to be present.
Yes.
And I can't stress the importance of that enough. So when I'm having a mentoring call, I am always listening for an opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute now. You just had, and I actually had this conversation with a doc this week. He had his best month ever in practice. And we celebrated that, and I gave him a attaboy. And then I just said, who are you going to tell? Well, what do you mean, who am I going to tell? I said, who's the next chiropractor that's going to hear about the success that you've had with the Right Start program and with AMC? Who are you going to tell? And next week, he's going to give me a name of who he told. There's just some accountability in all of this. And it's not that hard to do if we're tuned in and if we're listening. So it's having an expectation, it's holding them accountable to it, and it's doing that consistently is really what it comes down to. And I've had all kinds of referrals cross the finish line here as of late, and that's really where that's coming from. And I don't know off the top of your head, Dr. McMurtry being the stats guy, but if there weren't referrals in the doctors, in the offices that you're coaching, if those referrals didn't exist, would those practices even be there?
Oh boy. There are some that absolutely would not, because they are in markets where marketing is very expensive and very time consuming. And I certainly have practitioners who all they do is referrals. They don't do any other marketing at all. So their practice as they know it wouldn't exist. They would have to be reinventing their marketing results every single month in and month out. So that is a scary notion, honestly, Dr. Greg. That would keep some people that I know very well up late at night, honestly.
Yeah. And so then we know referrals are an important part of both of those practice scenarios. Those doctors that you're thinking of right now, are they doing referrals as well as they could be?
Not all. If I'm going to be honest with you, not all. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then, blue coats that are listening in on this, that's our job. We have got to dedicate time on certainly every single call as a reminder, but then just taking opportunities outside of the calls, even and encouraging text and, the doctor's first call, right? I mean, I keep bouncing back and forth between the system and what we're doing, in our work with AMC, but that system, that doctor's first call could be one of the most important parts of a patient really becoming and beginning to understand, wait a minute, that there is totally something different about this doctor. He called me to check on me. Nobody has ever done that before.
Yep.
It's going to be a whole lot easier for that patient to refer or to think about referring when that happens. So look, I obviously I can jump all over the place with referrals and have lots of conversations, but did you have any questions? Anything?
I don't think I have any questions, but I just want to make an analogy here. There's an overlay between what you're talking about with chiropractors referring chiropractors to us for help, us who have a need, and your patients in your clinic, listener, referring people in your community to you who are in need, right? The same things are in play, right? What have you heard Dr. Greg talk about so far today? Number one, you heard him talk about expectation. You heard him talk about what is the expectation of this business. This business is built as a referral business. Our company, the one that we work in and work for, that's a referral company. And it was created that way from Dr. Owen and Tom from day one, right? That's part of our DNA. It's part of our foundations. That's true for those doctors, right? If they wake up every day affirming that they are a referral doctor, worth referrals, helping referrals, excited for referrals, that will be part of their expectation, right? Not just expectation to patients, but expectation to the universe, expectation to God. We talked about culture, and you talked about culture, right? What is the culture of our business? This is a family culture, and the culture of referrals, and the culture of, really going above and beyond. That culture, developing a referral culture, is true for our doctors as well. Everything, docs, that you're hearing Dr. Greg talk about is true for us, and it's true for you. He's asking you directly for referrals. He's not being bashful about it. He's not trying to hide it. He has a mission, he has a purpose, and he has enthusiasm about it. So he has conviction. Doctor, if you have those qualities when you're talking to your patients, I promise you, you will be busy with referrals. It's not an if, it is a when. And Greg, I know you see it all the time, but we see doctors matching perfectly their culture, their expectations, their protocols, their opportunities, their mindset, their attitude. They got everything going in the right direction, and you can't help but have that clinic start just processing referral after referral after referral. And what's so great about that, Dr. Greg, is when you have doctors you're working with in that, and just starting to feel that effect, they say, I don't know where they're coming from, but patients are coming out of the woodwork, right? It develops a momentum on its own, right? So I just wanted to take a minute, no questions, just want to take a minute and make those analogies between what people are hearing from you, and do yourself a self-analysis. Are you bringing these qualities, these expectations, these questions to bear in your office? If not, it's time.
Yeah. When you share that, I think of, I'll just do a shout out, Dr. Cody Masick out in Valencia, California. I mean, he's out there in the middle of Richville. I mean, there's a lot of money out there, and he, by his own admittance, he's been around. He's been a chiropractor for a long time, and he started with a fire and a passion for subluxation and for truly educating patients on what chiropractic is all about. And then he kind of fell away from that, and he wandered around for a bit and found his way to AMC via Google, of all things. He put in chiropractic coaching companies, or the best chiropractic coaching companies, I think is what he did. This week I was talking to him about referrals. We were just talking about other doctors, and that's how he found us. And just recently we did a thing with him called the Rejuvenation Plan. Now that's been around for a long, long time. And the intent of that is to help a doctor push the reset button in here, in between his ears. And I have not seen it have that kind of change in a doctor that I've mentored like I've seen with Dr. Cody. And I'll just say, because I know we're running tight on time, I'll just say he put an expectation last week, and on Sunday night, he said, I'm going to see 20 patients on Monday, and I'm going to have, I think he said 4 new patients next week, and I'm going to have 20 patients on Monday. And he came into the office on Monday, and there were 4 on the schedule, and he ended the day with 21. And he did it the next day. He said, I'm going to have 20 patients on the schedule on Tuesday. And I think he said he had 10 or 12, and he ended the day with 20. And that's the power of a true innate driven expectation. It works It's real. And if you're not doing it, you're missing out. And so is the doctor that you are supposed to be reaching out to. There are doctors out there that are expecting you to do that. There are patients that need to be patients in your office. And if you're skipping those steps, maybe we need to have another podcast just to talk about that. But for sure, expectation is where it's at. So there you go.
I love my patients. I love my practice. I love chiropractic, and I love my fellow chiropractor. That's
Amen.
What you want to bring to the table, right?
There it is.
So, folks, you heard it. You listened to it. You were moved. You know it's in your heart. Go ahead and share this. We have tons of ways that you can share the good news of AMC with someone else. We have for doctors only. We have straight talk. We can send digital. We're not going to hound anybody. Greg, I don't think there's no arm twisting going on our end. But
No way.
once that doctor in need is exposed to us, we are going to reach out, and we're going to reach out with positive and truth and allow that doctor to make a decision. And we hope and pray they'll make a good one, right?
Absolutely.
Good. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. That is all the time we have for this episode. Join us again next week for another episode of Wake Up Aligned. Until then, God bless.
Follow our show. You can share it with friends, of course. And we'd love for you to contact us at mailbag@amcfamily.com. In addition, you're always invited to attend or join us at a summit. Of course, registration is required. And we would love for you to check out the loads of free content we provide to social media every single week. Until next time.